I have 10 minutes on TikTok, so I'm going to try to compress the story down into 10 minutes. Um, After planning a wonderful vacation to Barbados, I found myself on the emergency room floor of Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Christchurch, begging for two nurses to save my life as they looked down upon me. I had hypoxic pneumonia, double lung pneumonia, and sepsis with a kidney injury, survival rate of 15 to 50%. I was decompensating. I was sent to the Emerge by ambulance from an urgent care who said that the best they could do was stabilize me and that I didn't have time to wait for a specialist. As I was on the floor, the nurse begging the nurse to save my life because I felt like I was dying, she said to me, two nurses, one male, one female, said, "It doesn't look good you laying there. You can't lay there." And I said, "I'm too weak. I can't lift my arms or legs. I can't get up in that chair." The other nurse said, "If you get up in the chair, I'll give you some Tylenol or paracetamol." I lay there for a while completely soiled because by now I'm decompensating. Sepsis is getting worse. And the nurse says to me, I said to the nurse, "I've soiled myself." And he says, "Well, what are we going to do about that?" and walk away. I, by God's grace, pulled myself up into a chair, flapped myself over, and he did give me 2 paracetamol once I made it to the chair with the encouragement of the other patients. Why am I telling you this? I planned for so much. I planned horseback rides. And I'm a registered nurse, a mom of 3 and life coach. And I had everything, every over-the-counter medication or remedy under the sun. But I didn't expect things to go so fast. We planned picnics on the beach, Harrison's Cave, the Animal Flower Cave, Botanical Gardens, but I didn't plan for this. Barbados Emergency Department, Queen Elizabeth, is rated 2nd in the Caribbean. Barbados is the 2nd world country, and yet their emergency room is the gates of hell. It is rated 32nd in the world, I believe, or 35th, and this is unacceptable. The fish rots from the head down. I was just aghast, and it just got worse. I begged for a bed, and the nurse said, an available bed. The nurse said, "Well, it's not clean." I said, "I can't. I'm dying. I can't hold my body weight up." My family had to be my nurses. We had to go and get Tylenol, clothes. They had to cut clothes off of me. The doctor did admit that they got started too late, but was grateful that I was responding to the treatment. I was taken by ambulance from the urgent care. The ambulance drove so fast I thought it was going to flip over. And that's how I knew how bad I was. Again, looking at my stats, I was decompensating. I spent 3 days in that emergency room in the intensive care bay. Actually, let me go back to the bed. The nurse refused to help me to the bed, and the doctor said I needed a bed. And I didn't care. I found an unused blanket and a curtain. I wrapped the blanket around my waist and one I had around my shoulders, and these blankets did nothing. There were barely any blankets, no toilet paper, nothing. Absolutely nothing. People are going to emerge all over the floor. They're there with suitcases, just with basic supplies. Neighbors, I heard one neighbor going, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to run home and get you this or get you that." It's just this was the gates of hell. My siblings, my brother, my sister, my husband, my son had to be my nurses, and they cleaned up. Forgive me for being so curt, but I feel like I need to be. They cleaned up copious amounts of diarrhea. Nothing would stay in me. Everything just went right through me. I think it must have been like 12 hours later, I finally got the first dose of antibiotic, and by then I was so weak I could barely lift my head. I couldn't stand up. They were telling me that they would need to CPAP me, intubate me. I was so anemic, they were offering blood infusions. I had gotten that bad from neglect and delay of care. That bed, I thought, Lord, help me get to the bed. Patient, help me. I climbed up in the second half of that bed, a dirty bed with no sheets or anything. And that was my bed for 3 to 4 days that I was in the pulmonary section of the Emerge in the critical care bay. I was then transported up to Sitsi, and it was night and day. They took very good care of me. I was shocked because I was terrified. I really wanted out of that hospital immediately, but I was too critical to go anywhere. I was so disoriented. I was terrified of being by myself, panic attacks. Every time I came to, I just had a panic attack, trying to hold it together, not to scare my family members. They kept coming, and I didn't understand what they were talking about because they kept saying, "Oh, she's still alive. You're still alive." It took us, when we arrived in the hospital by ambulance, it took them 30 minutes to get me on oxygen, and I was severely hypoxic, history of asthma, and autoimmune illness. I tell you this because it's important to have a exit plan when it relates to your health. Whether you're traveling or whether you're in your own hometown, we plan for so much, and there's nothing wrong with that. I encourage you to plan the wonderful things, but plan for the worst because it could save your life. Too many people die in healthcare systems due to neglect, due to delayed care, due to lack of compassion, insensitivity, and no one just giving a damn. My family members shouted and hollered, and I'm so grateful for them for speaking up and letting them know that if I died, they were never going to hear from them because I was on the cusp of dying. It breaks my heart to know that many have passed from neglect. I'm a registered nurse myself. I work as a manager at this time. I can't imagine doing this to anyone. And I'm in my over 30 years of nursing. I can't imagine letting anyone under me, any nurse under me, treat someone this way. I've had to fire 2 nurses in my career. And it was because they were rude to the patient. And I felt that hindered patient safety, and that was an absolute no on my watch. They were rude and derogatory, and I said, "Get out. You've got to go." If you're able, please contribute to the GoFundMe below. I've started buying medical supplies. I'm so grateful to be alive, knowing that many died of the same thing. While I spent 10 to 11 days in the hospital. The idea that Bajans, Barbadians, and tourists are all over the floor, and they don't know how to speak up and advocate. When I went to the website and looked at the reviews, when I finally got the courage up last week, I just bawled because it was like my story repeated over and over again. Bajans or Barbadians are tapped out financially, and no one, it is inhumane on any level to have anyone experience this or go through this. When you go on vacation, know which hospitals and healthcare systems are near you, know what they're capable of and what they're not capable of. Make sure you have an escape plan. I stepped off that plane and I didn't feel right, and things went sideways really fast. I lost the ability to walk, move, speak. I was passing out. My lips were black. My skin was like clay. I lost the ability to function quite rapidly from double lung pneumonia, hypoxic double lung pneumonia, sepsis, and a kidney injury. Just all came out of nowhere. I've shared the link before. I tell you this with a great deal of love. Please share this video and protect your life. Speak up and have a plan, along with all the wonderful plans. I'm recovering. My energy's not where I need it to be as yet, but it'll get there. Much love. Mwah.